What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today I want to talk about the New York Giants defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, and discuss why hasn't he been fired yet? Will he be fired? What are the answers that I can find to many of the questions that I see down below in the comment sections of our recent episodes? Because that is the central question lately. Obviously, a lot of people have been asking about the recovery of Cam Skattebo. If you missed yesterday's upload, I did give the injury update on Cam Skattebo. It's a positive one, so make sure to go check that video out. But today, yes, going to the negative side here, but really not to just kind of rag on Shane Bowen. That's not what I'm going to try and do in this episode. I'm doing this episode to answer the question that many of you have asked. When will the Giants fire Shane Bowen? Will they fire him at all? And why haven't they yet? Because I understand a lot of you feel like he should have been fired after that Denver Broncos game. Understandably. It's kind of like you have two strikes and that should be it, right? He's getting an opportunity for a third strike, but should he? He had the Dallas game. The Giants defense blows a lead, surrenders the game to Dallas. Dallas wins. Of course, we know the story. I think there was, 15 seconds on the clock when Dallas got the ball at the end of regulation. Unacceptable defense from Bowen's unit. And Bowen took the heat, said, I shouldn't have dropped that many in coverage. My fault. We'll figure it out next time. Next time came in week 7 against the Denver Broncos. And once again, 8 dropped in coverage. The Giants surrendered a field goal after the Broncos got the ball back with 30 seconds. The Giants lost that game. Now, they also did have a 2-possession lead in the New Orleans game. Obviously, turnovers on the offensive side of the ball played a part in that. But still, the Giants have had leads. They've had possessions that were surrendered with incredibly low amount of time because of the defense. And this past week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, not only were the Giants coming off of another fourth quarter collapse in week 7 versus the Broncos, but they followed that up with a game against the Eagles where they got picked apart in the passing game and they got ran all over. The Eagles ran for over 300 yards in that game this past Sunday. So I'm summarizing the last couple weeks here because that's the reason why everybody is asking the question, when are they going to fire this guy? Now, let me just say this from my perspective, my opinion. I hear you guys. I don't think Shane Bowen's good at his job. I don't think he deserves to continue to have this job, but there are reasons why he has it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go into some of the stats on the Giants defense first, and then we will talk specifically about why I think he still has his job. Now, the New York Giants have the third worst rushing defense in the NFL. They are letting up 148.9 yards per game. That is just atrocious and completely unacceptable, in my opinion. If you're looking at takeaways, how many takeaways do the New York Giants have? Well, not all that many. The Giants have exactly 5 takeaways on the season, which is the 4th worst total in the NFL. 5 takeaways through 8 games. That's really bad. I mean, the Jets are the worst. They've only got 1 takeaway, but 5 takeaways. That was a problem for the Giants defense last year as well. If you guys remember, they had the longest drought without an interception forced throughout that season. I think it took them from week 1, they had 1 interception. They didn't get another one until I want to say week 12 last year. This Giants defense can never seem to find the ball under Shane Bowen. And they also can't seem to stop the run. Like I mentioned earlier, they have the 3rd worst run defense in the league. Now, when the Giants hired Shane Bowen, the reason that they did so was because when he was the DC in Tennessee, the Titans had one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So their promise to the fans and their promise to ownership was, we are hiring Shane Bowen in order to stop the run. Since Shane Bowen has gotten here, the New York Giants run defense has gotten exponentially worse. It is terrible. It is among the worst in the league. I cannot take it. Watching the Giants run defense in action is like watching paint dry. It's really like watching highlight reels for the other teams because you have Saquon Barkley running 65-yard touchdown second play of the game. You have Tank Bigsby running all over this defense, 2nd and 31, no problem. Let's just run off tackle. The Giants, when defending off tackle, I saw a stat today. I don't remember who posted it. Apologies, but I saw it on Twitter. I think the stat, paraphrasing here, but it was about 7.9 yards per carry, I think, that running backs are averaging when running off tackle against the New York Giants. What the hell? I mean, the linebackers are not doing their jobs in this defense. Look at what Bobby Okereke was able to accomplish in 2022 when coached by Wink Martindale, and 2023 when coached by Wink Martindale. Then all of a sudden, Shane Bowen got to town, and this defense has just had Bobby Okereke looking lost. His run defense has taken major steps backwards. The communication all across the board defensively has been terrible. The Giants don't get enough pressure. They can't cover for crap. I mean, Jalen Hurts had 4 passing touchdowns this past Sunday against the New York Giants. What are we doing, man? It's terrible. They surrendered 5 total touchdowns in that game. 2 weeks ago, They looked like one of the best defenses in the NFL, not surrendering anything in the second half to the Philadelphia Eagles. Then for 3 quarters, they looked excellent against the Denver Broncos. But when it's situational, when the play call needs to be right to put the guys in position to make the play, that's when Shane Bowen's defense continues to get it wrong. And that's why you say, hey, it's got to be the coach. The talent is obvious. Look at this defensive line. Brian Burns leads the league in sacks. This should not be the 28th ranked defense in all of football. I mean, come on now. So, again, going over some of the stats just to feed into it. This is why Giants fans want him fired. I don't blame you guys. It's completely understandable. Like I said, they're the 28th ranked defense in the league. They're averaging 382.4 total yards per game surrendered every single week. That is awful. So, there's the summary. That's Shane Bowen's defense. Now, to get into some more specifics on Shane Bowen's defense, what's the scheme? Because we do see a lot of comments from fans saying, this is what you get for running that soft zone. The New York Giants don't run a lot of zone coverage. In fact, they run the most man coverage of any team in the NFL. In my opinion, guys, that is why the New York Giants defense gets shredded on a week-to-week basis. I've been saying this for a while. I think they need to run more zone. I look at a guy like Deonte Banks who struggles to get his head turned around, who struggles to make plays on the ball. The reason why? Well, of course, he's not good in man coverage. In man coverage, that's when your head is turned to the football. That, to me, is what the New York Giants' problem has been with kind of developing Deonte Banks. Now, right now, if you're looking at the Giants, they're running zone coverage on only 50% of their snaps. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. When you're running zone coverage, the ball is in front of you as a defensive back. You're able to jump on it, make plays. You don't have to guess. There's no timing involved. The ball is never behind you. But again, we see so many Giants cornerbacks with the ball behind them, unable to get their head turned around, unable to make plays. That's why the Giants have such a low turnover rate, because they do play so much man coverage, and the Giants defensive backs aren't equipped to play it. That's personally my take on it. I also think it's one of the reasons why they get shredded so much in the run game. You look at some of these teams, especially the one that they're about to face on Sunday, the San Francisco 49ers, all of that pre-snap motion. What are the Niners going to do? They're going to send the receiver in motion. All of a sudden, this receiver goes from this side of the line to that side of the line. The safety just went with him, and now the safety is no longer on that side of the ball, and that's where the 49ers are going to run because they just took a guy completely out of the play. That's what teams do against the Giants because they run so much man coverage. So trying to get into the nitty-gritty here of Bowen's scheme, what's gone wrong, why the Giants are getting ran all over, why their pass coverage is poor. It's schematics and it's defensive coordinators' schematics. So I think the man coverage that they run, the frequent rate of it, they don't even run it with a lot of blitzing. They're literally just running cover one man, one single high safety, and a man coverage across the board with a 4-man rush. So you're asking your linebackers to play a lot in coverage. You're asking your safeties to play man coverage when they're zone safeties. Again, the same thing with the cornerbacks. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's such a misusage of personnel because I really think this Giants defense on paper is among the 10 most talented in the league, especially when they're fully healthy. Paulson and Debo has not looked good this year. I don't think he's used to playing this much man coverage. In fact, I don't think anybody is used to playing this much man coverage. It's an intense rate of man coverage that they're facing. So I just think that's where the Giants have really gone wrong this year. Like, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're running zone coverage 67% of the time. That ranks 20th in the NFL. Most teams are not running zone coverage 50% of the time. It's crazy. I mean, look at the team that the Giants are about to face, the 49ers. They run zone coverage 75% of the time. That only ranks 11th. That's not even in the top 10 highest usage of zone coverage. So the Giants being all the way down at that 50s range, that's a really low usage rate. They need more zone coverage is essentially the point that it's boiling down to. That's my breakdown and opinion on it. Now, to answer the big question, when will the New York Giants fire Shane Bowen? Why haven't they fired him yet? That's what I really wanted to dive into. Apologies if I rambled too long to get there, but I wanted to just give you guys a breakdown on the schematics and on the statistics behind this crappy defense that the Giants are running. So why haven't the Giants fired Shane Bowen? I'm going to lay it out for you guys really, really simple here. It's because of Brian Daboll. It's Brian Dable's job to pick his staff. It's his job to fire guys. It's his job to hire guys. It's only up to him whether or not Shane Bowen gets fired. Joe Shane doesn't really have a say in that. That's not his jurisdiction. That would be a major overreach for him to say you have to fire that coach. The reason why Shane Bowen is on the staff is because Brian Daboll likes him and Brian Daboll can use him. What do I mean by that? There's got to be a scapegoat, right? when you really look at this Giants team, they are bad in a lot of ways. They're second in the NFL in total penalties. They are first in total penalty yardage. They have had the second most delay of game penalties called against them. They rank first in delay of game penalties. They rank eighth in false start penalties. They rank second in defensive pass interference penalties, fifth in total penalties committed, second in total penalty yardage. You look at all of that. They rank 25th in red zone conversion rate, 21st in fourth down conversion rate. They have one of the worst teams in football, even outside of just the defense. They have penalties across the board. Their offense struggles to score in advantageous positions. There are a lot of problems with this team, but because the defense gets all the attention, not enough of it gets placed on Brian Daboll and what a poor job he's doing. So what is Shane Bowen to Brian Daboll? A human shield. Shane Bowen is a guy that the problems can fall on. He is the fall guy right now for this Giants team. They're losing games because in the fourth quarter, they're letting up all of these touchdowns at the end and field goals at the end. Blame Shane Bowen. It's the defensive coordinator's fault. Meanwhile, Brian Daboll is making the game plan with Shane Bowen. He is overseeing the game plan. He is telling him, I want to run this style of a defense. Now you go ahead and run it. That's Brian Daboll's job. He says, when we get into this situation, these are the plays that we're going to call. And then Bowen calls them. But Brian Daboll oversees that process of game planning. That's important to note. Because right now, the New York Giants, they have a defensive coordinator that pretty much everybody feels should be fired. And obviously, look at how poor of a job he's done this season. The only logical explanation that I can give you guys as to why he hasn't been fired is because Brian Daboll needs him in order to keep his job. Let's say that Shane Bowen goes out there, gets fired, and all of a sudden the defense is really good, but the Giants are still losing games because of the penalties, because of their lack of ability to score in the red zone. Then there's no more blame for anybody else to take. There's no more scapegoat. Shane Bowen is the scapegoat. Brian Daboll is really good at finding scapegoats. Couple of years ago, the scapegoat was Wink Martindale. Apparently, that wasn't a good enough defensive coordinator, so he had to go ahead and didn't upgrade with Shane Bowen. A couple of years ago, the scapegoat was Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka was calling poor plays. Now Brian Daboll is going to take the play calling over. Brian Daboll takes the play calling over. The play calling sucks. Oh, who's the scapegoat? Daniel Jones in the quarterback room. That's the problem. Now he brings in Jackson Dart. He's got his own quarterback room. Kafka's calling plays again. Now the defense sucks again. We hired the wrong defensive coordinator. Not my fault. Daboll's always got an excuse, and he's always got a scapegoat is essentially my point here. And so the Giants defense is going to continue to be the scapegoat for the rest of the season because it's really the last card that Brian Daboll has to play. There's no more excuses. He's not calling the plays anymore. His offensive coordinator is doing a fine job. He's got his quarterback. Jackson Dart is a star in the making. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries, and he can use that as an excuse and as a scapegoat, but I don't think that's enough because there's still talent across the board on this defense. The defense is obviously the problem, but it's Shane Bowen's defense, and it is Brian Daboll's defense as well. He has a lot of say in the way that it looks. So my take on it, guys, he's just the scapegoat. That's why Shane Bowen's still here. So that when the Giants get to the later portion of the season, they can fire Shane Bowen at the bye week maybe. Then they've got 4 weeks left. If the defense plays better in that 4 weeks, Brian Daboll at the end of the year can say, hey, listen, let me just rework my staff, get a new defensive coordinator in here. Let me keep coaching Jackson Dart. That's what Daboll's going to try and pitch to ownership. Whether or not they take it, we'll see. But if I had to give you guys a guess on when Shane Bowen will be fired, again, I think he's had 2 strikes. I think a third strike will come, and I think that's when he gets fired. Whether that's a fourth quarter collapse again, whether that's, let's look at it as a blowout by 30 points again. I mean, you could have argued that he had another strike against Philadelphia this last week, but they play Detroit in a couple weeks. Let's say Detroit hangs 50 on him. Okay, there's your final strike. I think he's had 2 strikes, the Dallas game, the Broncos game. I think there will be a third strike, and he will get fired before the season ends. And then it's going to be who's going to call the plays then? Who's the defensive coordinator then? To answer that question for you guys, Marquand Manuel. He's the defensive backs coach for the New York Giants right now. He was hired this offseason after Brian Daboll scapegoated and fired Jerome Henderson. Marquand Manuel is also the defensive passing game coordinator. So he works in tandem with Shane Bowen to coordinate the game plan. He also was the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons back in 2019, so he has play calling experience. So expect him to take over for Shane Bowen if Shane Bowen does get fired. I know a lot of people say Andre Patterson. Patterson's not going to take that job. He's a little bit up there in age, and I think he has some health complications as well. It's going to be Marquand Manuel most likely. So Eventually, I think it happens, guys. At some point this season, you'll probably see Bowen get fired. It's a little bit shocking that he hasn't been fired yet, considering how bad this defense has been at times this year. But again, this whole team has been bad. This offense has also cost the Giants games. Look at week 3, look at week 2, look at week 1, or not week 2, look at week 1 and week 3. And even I would say week 5 with all the turnovers. I would also even argue against the Broncos in week 7. They shouldn't have gone for it, or they shouldn't have thrown the ball in that 3rd and 5. If you run the ball there, Denver has no time left. The Giants offense gave them so much time to work with at the end of the game. There was only so much that the defense could do when that offense got so hot. So again, there's been a lot of mistakes made by this defense. Yes, there have been a lot of mistakes made in general by Brian Daboll. And the only reason that there's not more attention being placed on those mistakes by Brian Daboll is because there's so much attention being placed on the mistakes of Shane Bowen. So that's why I think he's still here, and I hope that clears things up for you guys. If you have any more questions, of course, drop them down below in the comment section. I read all the comments. I try to respond to as many as I can, and I will also be doing an episode with Alex again tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Joe Shane and reviewing that. So do make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you listen to Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Guys, Fireside Giants is an Empire Sports Media production. Make sure to check out empiresportsmedia.com for more New York sports content. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go New York Giants.
Perfect.